So our company, as you know, name is Seed NanoTech. We specialize in nanosensing technology as well as advanced operating technologies related to magnetoplasmatic sensors. Um, what we're currently going to be talking about is a sensor that we're focusing on, like PortSense MP, which is like related to the real-time emissions intelligence for smarter ports. It is like an advanced AI-enabled sensing device, and it's mainly we're trying to build it for maritime decarbonization. And it is like in another way, we are hoping to make like a innovation partnership with France to increase our commercialization and bring our products to more success. So the core challenges that have been faced at ports mainly include related to emissions, port emissions, such as carbon dioxide, nitrogen, sulfur, and then all those fuel vapors, local air quantities. So it's always risk associated along with that. And also we have many risks associated with this general case, such as if there's fuel leaks that can have an effect on the maritime habitats, as well as any type of incidents, accidents, noise, pollution, all such relating to climate change, etc. As well as there's many they have a very monitoring devices, and there are many problems that goes invisible, such as like at berthside fuel interface or like harbor handling zones. There are not like any proper sensor or like some type of technology to identify those emissions. So that is what our company is mainly focusing on, the main problem of visibility, where even though the ports are currently advancing through like building a fast green and infrastructure, they're missing the main layer, which is related to port decarbonization. So the issue is not no longer if the ports are going clean or not, but rather if they're doing it effectively, if they're actually verifying the local performance. Along with that, and another problem we have is like real data. They cannot verify decarbonization without having a real-time local data. So because of that, we can pretty much say that the critical zones are still operating blind. So our emissions and fuel risk does not happen everywhere. In theory, it might happen everywhere, but it is not really like that. And it will happen only in specific zones, such as like berths, fuel interfaces, enclosed areas, equipment areas, etc. So many systems currently rely only on this broad monitoring manual checks or delayed reports. So our company is trying to introduce a solution to that. So before we begin, I would like to talk a little bit about my company, Seed NanoTech International Inc. What is Seed NanoTech? So Seed NanoTech has an existing intelligence and AI-enabled nanosensor platform, and we have proven work related to gas, humidity sensing, signal conducting electronics, wireless communication, and any AI-based interface. And currently, we are trying to integrate this nanotechnology optics into identifying the atmospheric monitoring, mainly at like port, at maritime port, as I mentioned before. Before that, I would like to talk about the team here that we have, the wonderful team we have. Main co-founders include Dr. Conrad Reza, who's the founder, CEO, and then like the principal investigator of Seed NanoTech, along with Sushma Rizal, who's like a co-founder along with human resource manager, and Dr. Sabita Bandri, who's also like the international business development officer. Just a slight look into like what our organizational structure of the company looks like. We have, along with the CEO director, our executive management is divided into main 4 sections: Chief Operating Officer, Chief Scientific Advisor, Business Development Manager, Strategic and Academic Advisor, which is main. We have 7 related foundations, which is in research and innovation, engineering, business development, administration, education related, marketing, and we are very open to co-op students and research assistants as well. So this is the end work of like our lab and our Dr. Riza as well, like in the lab and science of research. So currently we suppose that our company has a solution, which is the missing layer that is of localized emission intelligence. So this solution is we're introducing this sensor known as PortSense MP, which has a local sensing layer for the key port operations. So you can clearly know when, where, and how the emission rise. So in a way, we're trying to, from sensing, we're trying to relate it to like making a decision support. So our processor will not only give data, but it gives us reliable data that anyone can read. So they do not need only like a very high official to do. So this way we'll keep like a proper safe monitoring at the port always. So what is our, we will look a bit inside of what the sensor is. So it will have a sensor chip that is of a gas sensitive nanostructure, and a readout that will have and a processing center which has the microcontroller and signal conditioning techniques, as well as compensation, which we're mainly looking for like humidity, temperature checkouts, and a dashboard that has the connection to give us like AI alerts. So it is not dependent on anything else, but rather like on the just measuring the environmental condition. So the process is simple. We're going to have a detection, an analyzation, alert, act, and then we're going to verify the signal. So what are the main things that PortSense will detect? So we'll detect like the key port emissions, as I mentioned before, and as well as the environmental conditions such as the humidity, temperature correction and such, as well as like to give us a very practical output of like the alerts and wireless reporting as well. So the prototype mainly includes wireless data, dashboard, alerts, and AI analytics. So how does this sensor work in sense? So the air sample will enter the sensor chamber. The sensor chip will interact with the gas molecules along with the nano layer, and then the single data then becomes like a digital data that we can import, as well as we have a dashboard that it goes towards where we are able to analyze the trends and look at the virus data, and eventually it will give us alerts, alerting us to know any type of abnormalities along the port. So this flow chart we can simply say is like air sample, sensor chip, and wireless board, and AI alerts. So if there are so many sensors out there in the country, why is it like mainly like our PortSense MP will be beneficial to us? Why is that different? In the sense, it is able to give us a localized real-time data, a smart data processing, and decision-ready output. So we have the sensor nodes can be distributed widely to monitor the key port zones and continuous monitoring. As well as it has a very combining the nano sensors with environmental correction, wireless reporting, and AI assisted analysis. So we have a very smart data processing sensor chip. As well as we have, as well as it's not like we'll get raw data and then someone else have to additionally redefine that data and analyze it. Rather, we will get a decision-ready output, so anyone can read that as I think you don't need to go through the whole process of converting the raw data into eligible, tangible data. So these are some reasons why we will say that our PortSense MP is very different and beneficial in this case. So our slogan is that redefine the possible. So we would like to look at the inside of the Seed NanoTech Innovation Lab. So currently, our pathway is that we would like to, we already have our goal. We would like to adapt our sensors and connect our data with doing a pilot in Canada and France partnership. And then along with, we would like to validate our sensor performance, gain valuable appreciation and insights, as well as commercialize and give us like a strategic partnership that can maintain us. So our next milestone is to build this PortSense MP for like birdside emissions and an LNG fuel interface monitoring. So why this partnership is beneficial right now? Because it is a timely partnership for this innovation, because we are able to develop this technology, adapt it with the partners, and validate its real conditions and prepare like a commercial deployment. Along with that, we are able to get like the fuel emission risk, the emissions visibility, alerts, dashboard intelligence, and then pilot-ready data. So it is just not a technological opportunity, but we view it as a bilateral market opportunity. So for this, the partnership would be really appreciated. So our request is simple. We would like to have a second technical meeting to build the Canada-France pathway. And why is this partnership even more beneficial is that Seed NanoTech will be bringing the innovation along with the nanosensor technology, whereas France will give us like this maritime gateway and validation, as well as European market access, making sure like our product is becoming more commercialized. So thank you for listening to my presentation. We currently have this meeting happening at the France between May 31 to June 5th, where our CEO, Dr. Riza, would be attending to build collaboration with the France. And it is sponsored by the CIIP, which is a Canadian approved government meeting. And our goal is to bring the sports science empathy to France. Thank you for listening to my presentation.